Boom, recording. We're live. Justice League 22. Little preview show going on. What's going on? Got the one, the only Michael Langston in the house. What's going on?
Chilling, man. I'm ready for Sunday. It's gonna be fun. I can't wait to hang with the guys. This is gonna be competitive, man. Like it's like no other fantasy football, thing you'll do. I'm excited about hanging with the guys. Got to know a lot of these dudes, personally, just last year and over the year, and we talk a lot. So I can't wait. I've got like tingles and butterflies. I'm just excited about just see kind of how this is gonna manifest.
Oh, yeah. It's going to fester and it's going to manifester. I think this is going to be, let's see, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. It's going to be year seven for us. So we've got a good thing going. It's going to be very involved. I think that's the best way to put it. Our league is super competitive. We got some sharks. We got some guys who've been picking it up, and their skill levels rising. And then we brought back a former champion in Anthony Misc this year. Very excited about bringing him back into the fold. Brought back Anthony Porterfield, brother from another. Nice Seminole tight end. Always good to have another Noel in the house. Brought back Coach Mark Owens, or actually brought in Coach Mark Owens, first year for him. Very knowledgeable guy. It's going to be a great addition. And then brought in Mr. Trent. Trent, former college baseball player. He's a Michigan guy, so he'll be welcomed with open arms. And we're excited, man. We're excited. I think we got a good group, a fat group, 14. What are your feelings on going 14 this year?
I like it. I mean, it evens it out and it makes it tougher. We've talked about mock drafts that we've done. I've done some for 10, some for 14, and I like a group because it makes every pick matter. Like every pick
Mm-hmm.
you make when you choose, like whether you go wide receiver, running back early, or whatever way you want to
Mm-hmm.
do it, you better make sure it's right, and it puts more pressure on everyone to kind of deliver. I love the fact that we have so many, to put it a nice way, a bunch of personalities that are different, that
Yeah.
I love. And but I just think like you got to have something that separates you with the Justice League that's different from everyone else, and we do that where every pick's going to matter. People know what the drafts and the trades were crazy last year, and so it just makes every move you make so key to everything you do. I love kind of some of the matchups that we've already seen, that could happen. Some of these guys that it's gonna be extremely competitive. It's gonna be
Yeah.
obviously some friendly trash talk because we're doing this all for fun. Obviously, everyone wants to win, but I think it's gonna be fun just to see kind of who gets the edge when you do the draft, and then who gets the
Mm-hmm.
edge in certain trades.
Yeah, and there's always trades is always fun in our league. I think our league is probably more of a traders league than not. That's at least that's the feedback that I've got from the people, and everybody we've had in Justice League has been great. We've had some guys cycle in and out for different reasons. We've got a two-time champion that's not going to be participating this year in Calvin, one of the best players that's come through fantasy
Mm.
for Justice League for sure. And so we're going to miss him, but we've got a good group, and everybody has always said this is one of the most challenging and involved leagues. I mean, we've got dudes who are up at 2 in the morning on waiver wire day. We've got conversations that may or may not be being had at 1:45 on waiver wire
Maybe.
day, and we've got just a bunch of different transactions and stuff. Really makes it a spicy, I guess, interaction and experience. So really looking forward to year 7 now.
Hmm.
Um, don't know who's going to come out on top. I mean, we've got a deep, deep field. One thing that I've done, just I've made it a point this year, and I've spoke with you, and I've spoke with several other guys. Trey, Eddie, spoke with Gino, even spoke with Corey earlier. Wanted to raise the floor of the league. That was very important to me because more important than me trying to win or anybody trying to win, I want the league to be super competitive and super fun. So the best way to do that is to have the floor raised. If the floor of
Hmm.
your league is high and people are setting their roster and people are involved in the fab budget with the waiver wire and people are being very meticulous in how they analyze trades, your overall product is high. And I want that to be throughout throughout the season. So we know we've got the buy-in. The buy-in's going to be 150 this year, a little steeper than normal. We're kind of getting into that really involved league where it's a bit of a financial investment, but with the reward of the $75 weeks, I mean, you win High Man 1 week, you're going to feel like you need to put on the Intercontinental Championship belt. And
Yeah.
so that was definitely by purpose. That was definitely one of the efforts to try to raise the floor and make people feel like a champion. If you win a week and you have just a phenomenal week where you're the top out of 14, I want those people to feel like they're champion for a week. I want that. I want everybody to strive for that. I want all the money to go back into the league so everybody is motivated and feels like they're playing for something, regardless if your record is 2-6 or 6-2. Want everybody on that 9th week to be really motivated to set the roster. So a lot of the changes that we put forth, that's what they were for.
Yeah, it's the hardest fantasy league I've ever played in. I'm not. I mean, I put a lot of. I mean, I'm up at 3 in the morning sometimes. This stuff, my time, Eastern Coast, and I put a lot of emphasis on. This one's you've got to really work, and also just you got to really study your craft. And the guys that are listening, all the guys, shout out to everyone. But if I were you before Sunday, I would do a lot of mock drafts to get yourself prepared for moves that you have to make because this is not just child's play. We just jump right in and you can just do it. You could do 100 different. I run War Chant leagues for 12 leagues, and it's nothing like what the Justice League is. And so you got to put a lot of effort, and I think you're going to get everything you put into it. And like I had a monstrosity of injuries last year on my team. I lost a
Yeah.
lot of games, but when I won at 1 week, I won. You feel it. It's even if you win 1 week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, it's like it's special when you win that because you put in the work, everything fell into place, and it
Mm-hmm.
rewards everybody. I love like the point system you have now. We have defensive players only. I like
Mm-hmm.
that. It's just the
Mm-hmm.
point system of how you reward people for yardage, whether you're running back, receiver, quarterback, and just it really challenges your mind and just the things that important that you have to really dissect for everything that you're looking at. It's not just draft. You can't just say, "Oh, I got a draft. I got an A- on my draft. I'm good." And it's like it's going to be a constant week by week thing, and you want people to be competitive. And I think the changes that we made with all the just the different additions and adds to the rules and set rules of what we have. I think it's going to challenge everybody. I love it.
Yeah, I'm very excited about it. I'm actually going to click in here and I'm going to look at some of the things that we've done this year
Okay.
as far as the changes and some of the scoring systems. Now, I put out kind of a disclaimer to everybody. I really want everybody to pay attention to the league settings. I really want everybody to do as many mock drafts as possible. Come up with your plan. We all have our own way of doing stuff. I mean, I write down my picks, like what number pick I have, and then I look at ADPs that change weekly, and I try to look and see what players are around those ADPs and where I'm getting value. One thing I want to do with the draft this year is I want to have like a value score. So we're comparing everybody's respective draft pick to where they are, congruently as far as ADP stands. So if you are picking and getting constant value, I want to kind of get a cumulative score at the end to see who got the most value, most bang for the buck in the draft. I think that'll be kind of cool. Something we'll start doing this year. But if I
Yeah,
click in here, go ahead.
I was just saying I like that. It kind of grades kind of what you did and what you didn't do, and it kind of tells you, hey, what I did good and what I didn't do good. It's like that's always a benefit for everyone. I mean, because we're all competitive. I mean, that's the one thing. I mean, my record was really bad, but you know me, Ricardo, I competed like really hard every week. It didn't matter what I was going to put in. I was up at 3 a.m. It didn't matter what my record was. I knew I wasn't going to make the playoffs. I still it's like we have competitive guys that bring it, and that's kind of what we're looking for every week, regardless of what your record is. Like, so I think that
Mhm.
ADP kind of value is going to really help people going forward, whether it's this year or in the future.
So let's go over some of the scoring settings
Okay.
that I think are going to be interesting here. And not all of it was, I guess, voted on. This is kind of what I thought was best as far as the scoring system overall for everyone. and kind of evening it out. It's a little more meticulous approach to it than standard leagues. I think standard leagues are cool. It's obviously fun. Anytime fantasy football, it's fun. But for me, I really wanted to kind of dig into it, the little intricacies of each position as much as I can. We use Yahoo. I know there's some other platforms that may be better or maybe different, but Yahoo's where we're comfortable. That's kind of where we got our start, and that's kind of where we want to stay true to. So as much as I could bring different things into the fold, we try to do that. So for instance, some leagues will do 4 points for passing touchdown. We don't do that in Justice League, because if you're going to run a touchdown, you're going to catch a touchdown and get 6 points, you should get it if you're throwing it. That's just my feeling. And it puts a big emphasis on running quarterbacks when you don't do that. So guys that are not really that great at throwing the ball or throw for a high percentage, but they get great rushing upside, those tend to be your quarterbacks that eat in fantasy when you do not have a 6 point passing touchdown. So we go 6 for passing touchdowns. We're going -2 for picks. We're doing something that's going to be a little different. You're going to get 0.1 for completion and -0.1 for an incompletion. So over the course of a season, quarterbacks that are having high completion ratings that are accurate, it's going to show. There's going to be a little differentiation there. I think that's kind of a cool little aspect there. Sacks. So sacks can be blamed on offensive line, but as Mike, as you and I know, and some of the other guys in the Justice League know that are seasoned with football, a lot of times quarterbacks just simply hang on to the ball too long, and they cause sacks. So your quarterback gets sacked, it's going to be -25 points. So quarterbacks get rid of the ball. 25 yards for a point for passing. To get 1 point, you got to go 25 yards. A pick six thrown will be -2 on top of the -2. So a pick six is going to be -4 points. 40-yard completion will be 1. 40-yard passing touchdown will be 1 point. So those are in addition to the yards that you're obviously getting. A first down, this is big. We're going to do this across the board with rushing, with receiving, and with completing a pass. You're going to get 0.25 points for a first down. Running back goes and gets a 2-yard run, but it's 3rd and 1, and he muscles through a linebacker to get that. I think there should be some point accumulation for that. I don't want to make it so swayed that 2 yards is turning into, 2 points or 3 points or whatever, but I want to make it so that effort is being shown in some phenomenal efforts to get first downs are being rewarded. So we're doing that across the board. So I won't have to go into it for rushing. I've already covered that. With receiving, explosive plays are going to get you money. So in the Justice League, I want everybody to really focus on that, because it's going to affect how you draft. Players like Tyreek Hill, Deebo Samuel, players like Jamar Chase, for goodness sake. I mean, guys that are breaking big runs, big catches, you're going to get access points. Is it over the top? No, but it's going to add up. Guys that simply get a ton of receptions but are not explosive over the course of the season are probably not going to accumulate as many points. So if you're looking at how that breaks down per event, you've got 1 point for a 40-yard reception, right? If it's a 40-yard TD, you're getting another point on top of that. So all of these kickers roll in succession. So if you get one, you're getting the other two. So a 40-yard catch would be, 4 points for the actual yardage. It would be a point for the catch, and then it would be an extra point for the 40-yard reception. And if it's a 40-yard TD, it'd be an extra point for the 40-yard TD reception. So you see how it kind of stacks. So I'm really trying to put emphasis on explosion, because I feel like that's the most fun in fantasy. When you've got a wide receiver that breaks down the sideline and gets a 55-yard touchdown grab, that gets you up, that gets you exciting, and I want that to be reflected in the scores. Same thing for receiving first downs. We're actually going to do a 0.5 kicker, so half a point. If your receiver makes a great, toe dragging grab down the sideline. That's kind of new. Let's see. We don't really go over miscellaneous. One thing we will talk about is fumbles. So if your running back fumbles the ball and some old lineman is like Johnny on the spot and jumps on it, your running back's getting docked a point. That's just why we're doing it. If your running back loses the ball and it's a lost fumble, to be -2. That's how we're going to do it. A lot of times running backs will be fumbling, and they will kind of get bailed out by somebody jumping on it, but they still got butterfingers. So keep that in mind if you're drafting a running back and he's loose with the ball. If he's just simply losing the ball and the other team is recovering it, it's going to be -2. If the own team gets it, it's going to be -1. Small, but it could add up. So you want ball security. We're going to emphasize that. Field goals per point. And I'm blowing through this, Mike, so just bear with me.
No,
Field goals per Yeah, field goals per point. I think that's worked. We got that right. So it's no longer a set amount of points for, 20 through 29. It's basically you kick a 27-yard field goal, it's going to be 2.7 points. It's worked great. I think it's really kind of cleaned up the kicking. So one thing I wanted to get to all the Justice Leaguers here, and this is an impromptu show. We're not like dressed up in all our stuff or whatever. This is kind of just a pilot here, but I'm hoping we're getting some good information out. Defensive players, I wanted to go over this. I've been really kind of laboring over this point system because I want to make it even and fair. I don't want this to be just centered around D linemen who are getting TFLs and who are getting sacks. I didn't want to center it around linebackers who are just racking up tackles, obviously, right? Because they're the second level guys in position. And I didn't want to make it so that a DB just gets like 20 points for a pass breakup in picks. So the way we're going to run it, a solo tackle, 0.5 points, an assisted tackle, 0.25 points, a sack, 3.5 points. Why? Because they're rare. You don't get that many of them over the course of the season. It's crazy if a guy gets 20 sacks, right? That's a phenomenal season. So we're going to weight it appropriately. An interception, 6 points. Why? Because interceptions are about twice as rare as a sack. About, right? A guy might have 20 or 22 sacks. I think 10 or 11 picks is about the league high. So I tried to scale it that way. Forced fumble, 3 points. Fumble recovery, 2 points. Defensive touchdown, obviously, will be 6. Safety, 2. This is where it gets fun, in my opinion, because a lot of people, when you do an IDP, an independent defensive player or an individual defensive player, guys tend to want to get a guy that they kind of relate to, especially guys who played ball. Like if you're a DB, you want to go naturally, you want to get a DB. If you're a linebacker, get a linebacker. If you're a hand in the dirt guy, you want to get your favorite D lineman. I tried to make it so that you could get a defensive player that kind of aligns with what you played or what you like about the game defensively to bring some life to it. So with passes defended, we're getting 3 points. What that's going to do is that's going to allow for your top corners, your Ramseys, obviously your Diggs. Diggs is going to be a high pick because he gets a lot of picks, but Ramsey gets a lot of tackles out there in space, and he also gets a lot of passes defended. It doesn't necessarily get that many picks, but the passes defended, if you get 3 of those in a game, that's 9 points, right? And it's not a standard defense where you're starting with 20 and then they score and it goes down. It's up. No, your player is accumulating the points as you go. So I think that cleans it up a lot. We're going to do 1 point for a tackle for loss. This could be big, and I hope people pick up on this. If you want to get a defensive lineman, mind you, for the guys who play ball, whatnot, especially the walk-ons who know special teams is vital, right? A lot of times in the NFL, your defensive linemen are on your special teams or on your field goal block. You're getting 4 points for a block kick. So a lot of times your second string defensive tackle or even your star, depending on the head coach's preference, will be on that field goal block, and they get block kicks. That's 4 points. It's a big deal. So if you've got a defensive lineman who's 6'7" with a 7'2" wingspan, and he's getting sacks and he's getting TFLs and he's getting his hand up and they're using him on special teams, you may want to think to draft that guy or kind of pivot to him at one point in the season, because 4 points for a block kick could be big. Going down into the passing bonus, the passing offense bonuses, 2 points for 400 yards, 2 points for 500 yards, and 2 points for 600 yards. So if you get some crazy Josh Allen day where he throws for 600 yards, you're getting the 2-point kicker times 3. It's 6 extra points, right? 6. My thumb's jacked up, so bear with me. Same thing for rushing, 150, 200, and 250. 2 points at each level, which run concurrent, so they stack. And receiving is the same deal with 150, 200, and 250. Stack, stack, stack. So you have a chance if a guy has a crazy day to get 6 extra points there. That is a quick breakdown of the scoring system. I hope everybody takes it, as much time as it is necessary to familiarize yourself with that. And I hope that is reflective in the drafting, because I want to give everybody all the tools and an equal ground to draft on. Do you have any thoughts on the scoring or anything that sticks out, Mike?
I mean, the main thing, yeah, there's a lot of stuff to study for everyone, but I think the main thing is just if you look at, let's start with the offense. There's a lot of combination numbers with points. It's like it's not going to kill you with a few of them, but you just need to be mindful of who you draft of certain added points. I'm not a fan of the fumble when you don't lose the fumble, but it's cool. It gives you more attention to your position. So that's
Yeah.
cool. I don't mind it, but I understand people that kind of Man, that sucks. But and then defense, I think it makes you mindful of what kind of player that you need to be. Obviously, from my perspective on defense, it sounds like if you want to get a big boost as far as points in the defense, turnovers are going to be a big deal. A guy that gets a lot of turnovers, whether it's
That's what
fumble
you want.
recoveries, picks, that's who you want.
That's what
You
you
can't
want.
focus on tackles because you're not going to rack up there. Now you do want somebody with a mixture of getting tackles and also turnovers, but
Mhm.
I think even guys that get sacks, it's not going to relevate to the way it will if you get turnovers. If you get a guy that gets fumble recoveries and picks. If you get a guy that's getting 9 picks in a year and then maybe 6 fumble recoveries, I mean, you're going to be having a really good year with that guy. So, and he might not have as many tackles as other guys. So that's something that people want to make sure and be mindful of when you select whatever guy you as. Make sure turnovers. For me, it's going to be a big deal. So that's kind of thing. And then same thing with receivers and running backs and even quarterbacks. Make sure you got guys that value the football and value holding on to the football, whether it's fumbling or whatnot. I think that's an interesting thing. I think it will be interesting. My take. It's interesting. It's like you know, uh, yardage. If the pick is like more than 50 yards,
Mhm.
that would be a kind of a little point system I might think about
Yeah.
just maybe adding because that's rare. You don't get like 60, 70 yard usually touchdowns. It's usually some of them are 30, quick, but that's interesting. Then too, if a guy that doesn't play a position, throws a touchdown or throws a pick, you're going to penalize them. You're going to how much you're going to benefit those guys. So just stuff you have to think about.
Mhm. Yeah, and that's going to be true. I mean, an interception thrown is going to be the same regardless of if it's Debo Samuel throwing it or if it's Josh Allen, for instance.
Hmm.
As far as the defensive yardage, I want to say that that was in here. Yeah, you have turnover return yards, right? So that's
Okay.
in there.
Okay.
So you
Okay.
every 10 yards is a point. So if you get a 90-yard interception, let's tally that up here if I can. Bear with me. The interception is going to be 6 points, right? Let's say you return it 90 yards. That's going to be 9 yard or you know, 9 points for the 90 yards. And then if you get the TD, you're going to get the 6 points. So, I mean, you're talking about a monstrous play, but it's equivalent, right? Because if Tyreek Hill gets a screen pass and a 90-yard screen pass, he's going to get the point for the reception. He's going to get the 90 yards, right? He's going to get the touchdown. He's going to get the 40-yard kicker for the 40-yard play and the 40-yard touchdown kicker, right? So it's equivalent. So what I wanted to do, because I feel like what fantasy fails and why it kind of turns off some people who really enjoy football, especially guys who played. Um, Defense, man, is so important. And there's some explosive, awesome, really like, inspiring guys in defense that really make you gravitate to the game. And what I wanted to try to do, and I hope it's successful, is I wanted to try to bring that aspect into fantasy football because I don't see it elsewhere. This is the only
Yeah.
league where I really see that. And I don't play in all of them. I only play in a few, but I really wanted to bring that here and really give it a real try. I think we tried in 2017 with the IDP. It was kind of sloppy. It wasn't really well thought out. I feel like this year it's well thought out. And man, Micah Parsons, I mean, hell of a player. TJ Watt, hell of a player. I mean, you could really get behind these guys, and a defensive player could have a huge week and carry your football team. But that's realistic because on Sunday, a defensive player could carry you to victory in any level of football, high school, college or pro. So I think that's going to be a really exciting thing for me personally. I hope everybody likes it. I hope that it goes over well because the intention was definitely pretty organic and solid.
Well, I mean, look at how many people lost, their weekly matchups because a defensive team just sucked that week and just,
Yeah.
they got a touchdown. It's like they got a touchdown, but somebody scored like 40 points. It was kind of taken away and your value just kept going down. Whereas defense, we're actually rewarding guys that make plays. So you're not getting penalized for a unit that is unexpected. Like somebody got hurt, you can't do anything about that. You got that team. Now you don't have to worry
Mhm.
about that. It's like, yeah, if you get that player hurt, okay, you got to find somebody else. But you're actually rewarded for what the player is doing, not penalized for the team guy if somebody gets hurt. Like San Francisco last year, they had 1 million injuries on defense. They got whoever had San Francisco's defense probably got hurt a lot because they weren't the same defense that everyone's
No.
expecting them to be. They were supposed to be one of the number top defenses out there. So that's why I like this individual defensive player, because you're actually getting the points you deserve. Whether your guy sucked or whether your guy was good, you're getting rewarded on what his merits are on the field, and that's what I love about it.
Yep. So, there's a couple other things I wanted to go over here. Seeing as how this is kind of a kickoff, an impromptu kickoff show, I just fired up the computer and figured out some stuff. Mike had to troubleshoot me through some audio difficulty here. But I'd like to go over the draft order, right? Draft order. To me, the draft is the most fun part of fantasy football, because even though somebody like me, I'm kind of a nutcase and I do a lot of trading, you can't trade if you don't have assets and you don't start off with the meat and taters, right? I mean, because people don't want garbage. People want things that can help the fantasy team. So when you draft properly, or you draft assets, or you draft a good team, it sets you up to be able to move and shake and finagle later on. So here is the draft order that we've got set. My man Mike has got the first pick, and I'm pretty confident I know who that pick's going to be, but we'll leave it. We'll leave it till Sunday. Trey's got the number 2 pick. I know he's excited about that. He's got a pretty good idea where he's going to go there. We've got Willie. Willie's going to be picking number 3. Mark, the newcomer, he is going to be picking number 4. Marcus is going to be picking 5. We've got cousin Eddie. He's going to be picking 6. Corey's coming in at number 7. Gino is going to be picking at number 8. I'll be behind Gino. So that could be interesting. I got to pick behind it. I got to pick behind the cane at least half the draft. So I know he's going to be trying to snipe me and make life hard. And I'm going to try to do it on the flip side to him too. I'll be picking number 9. For like 3 months, I thought I was picking 10, and I was mock drafting at 10 because I'm an idiot and I didn't check the chat. So I'm picking 9. Jameis Crab Hunter is brother from another mother, Anthony Porterfield. Very pleased, very happy to have him back. When you see this, very excited to have you back, brother. He's picking number 10. Number 11 is going to be Mighty Joe Young. Joe is, I got to shout him out because I think Joe's one of the best players in this league. He had some terrible luck last year, was a very, very scary team in 2020. And was very close to winning it. I think he made the Final Four, had some crap luck last year. Look for Joe this year. Number 11 pick. I think Joe's going to have a good year. Mario Midwest Assassin. He's going to be number 12. We've got another newcomer, my man Trent. It's one of Trey's good buddies from Winston-Salem State, former baseball player in college, overall rock star dude. He's going to be number 13. And then we're bringing back a former champ. A guy that I fell to in the Final Four, and he ended up beating Anthony Porterfield in the championship, I want to say 2018. Anthony Misc, very, very happy to have you back. If you're watching this, happy to have you back, brother. Hope all is well with the family. He will be bringing in the rear here with the gear at number 14. So traditional 12 pick would be, the 12 and the 13 pick, or the 1 pick of the second round. So with the 14th pick, Anthony in our snake draft is going to be picking the 15th, the 14th and the 15th spot. So some advantages there. It's a deep league. That is our draft order. Very excited about it. Some people are more excited than others about the draft spot. But the way we do it is we do a reverse order of standings. Pick your spot. So for instance, Mike had a rough year last year, finished last. He wanted to pick 1. That's how we do it, and so on and so forth. So you're not locked into picking first or picking second, but you get to pick. So if Mike wanted to, he could have picked to, go 14th, but that's how we rock it. So another thing that I think will be fun to look at is, let's take a peek at our matchups. Week 1. Run these down, and then I want to get into something real quick too with our rivalry week 2, because I know there's going to be a lot of banter back and forth, and I'm excited about that. And these were very calculated matchups. These were thought out. Now, I may or may not have had COVID or some flu I contracted from Virginia, and it was terrible, and I was trying to not drown in my own sickness. So I stayed up and I made these matchups on a plane ride. But let's go over week one first. Week one is going to be myself and Mark matching up. First ever matchup. Don't know what to expect. I've checked some of these guys' history and their record. I know Mark's played a lot of leagues, and he's got some trophies, so he ain't going to sneak up on me. I'm coming full throttle at you, Mark. Next matchup is going to be Eddie and Willie. And I will say, I'm going to point it out because I think there's been a couple little instances of trash talking going back and forth. Eddie was kind of picking at Willie a little bit. So, Willie, if you're watching this, step your ass up because he's thinking this is going to be a win. I'm just going to throw that out there. Mario and Anthony, Bomb Squad, Misc are going to be going at it. We've got Corey matching up with Trent. That'll be an interesting matchup. First ever matchup there as well. A lot of these are first matchups. Midwest Assassin, Bomb Squad, first ever matchup. Corey and Trent be the first ever matchup too. Two vets of the Justice League are going to be facing off here in Gino and Marcus Prime Time. It's a Kane and a Noel. If a lot of you guys don't know, Marcus was a pretty decorated ball player with us at FSU. All over the field, big 6'1", 200-pound safety running, pretty fast. So I'll give him a high 4.59 because if I tell him he ran a 4.6, he'd be mad at me. So he was in the 4.5s. But yeah, it's going to be a Kane and a Noel going at it there. So these guys have squared off before. That's going to be a fun matchup. And then we've got one that I just really like to rub my hands together when I see it. We've got Joe and Trey. Two buddies for a long, long time, best buds growing up, and they are not best buds when they play fantasy football. So that's going to be a good matchup. I think Joe has coined the term Team Pixie for Trey based on a couple years of good fortune that almost rode him to a championship. And I say almost because it didn't quite happen. There's a certain running back that he probably should have played and he didn't. And as a result, let me see if I can find the ball. No, not that one. Was it this one? There it is. That's the ball, Trey. That's the one. That would have been yours if you would have played. What was that running back's name, Mike?
Miles Gaskin.
Okay. That's the Miles Gaskin ball.
I was joking with Ricardo. I might draft Miles Gaskin last just to remind Trey, but no, it's all it's all done and fun, but we know it's hard.
You got to be lucky. I mean, you got to be good, but you got to be lucky too. And I was lucky that he didn't play him. So, hey, if you're watching, Miles Gaskin, don't make that mistake again. And the last matchup is going to be Mike facing off against Anthony Porterfield. A couple of Knowles going at it. We're going to see. A Cowboy fan and a Buck fan, we're going to see. That's week one. So we're going to be rolling right into this. I think we're 10 days out from this matchup. Man, couldn't be more excited. But I wanted to give a quick preview and a quick explanation into what we're doing week two. Now, last year we had our rivalry week. And so what we do with rivalry week is we put an extra $25 on the line. So when you're going against your rival, there's $25 on the line. If you happen to go against your rival, win, and be the high man, it'll accumulate to $100. So you could win $100 in a week in rivalry week. So it is a big deal. And not only on top of that, obviously the most important thing is the bragging rights. So these were very meticulously thought after rivals. And I'll just go ahead and jump right into it. Myself and Gino, we've been rivals since 2016 when we started this. It's just always been that. Every day. It's banter back and forth. I love Gino. Gino's a fellow Marine, very good dude. I think very highly of him. So we have a lot of friendly back and forth. But he's a Kane, and I freaking hate Canes. And he doesn't like the Knowles, and that's fine. And so we go at it. So Tribe will be facing 4th and 14, which he conveniently named his team after Jordan Travis broke his team's heart last year. So his team name is 4th and 14 in honor of Jordan Travis.
Nice.
Yeah, I thought that was a nice touch. Good job, Gino. Touche.
That's good.
So that's the first matchup. Then we got a doozy. We've got Eddie and Trey, and there is no love lost. In a little background, Trey got his first trophy, his first place trophy in Eddie's league last year by beating Eddie in an upset. And Eddie didn't like that too much, and I know Trey really enjoyed that. So That's going down week 2. Two guys that want as much as anything to win in the Justice League that have not conquered that yet are going to be squaring off in week 2. And that's going to be no love lost there. I'm excited for that one. Next one up, we're going to have Willie and Trent. And I wanted to set somebody up with Trent. Trent is a very witty competitor. And Willie is sneaky witty too. And I think that I can kind of initiate some barbs back and forth there. And Willie is a Maryland Terp. And Trent is a Wolverine. Both in the Big Ten. I think there could be a little animosity there. I'm hoping somebody says something about somebody's mama. I'm hoping that gets slipped in there. And so I think that that's going to be a good matchup. Mario and Marcus. Little banter back and forth last year. A little back and forth that I kind of caught on. And I was like, these two are very much smart asses. And I think this could get good. So that one I'm looking forward to as well. Mario is probably one of the funniest dudes in our chat, constantly putting gifs, constantly just cracking up. And Marcus has picked up his banter back and forth a lot. And both those guys getting real vocal. And I think this is going to be a good rivalry. And, I wouldn't mind if somebody said something about somebody's mama in that matchup either. Now we got another big one here. And there has been some serious knockdown dragouts in our chat between Corey and Mike. So me being the jackass that I am, of course I pair them together. I mean, why wouldn't I, right? So we've got Corey facing off against Mike. And there has been some serious matchups here. And I think this one is going to be a lot of fun. $25 on the line. Talk that talk because it's going to get remembered and the receipts are going to be recorded.
Yeah, Corey loves playing me. Like, loves playing me. So I know,
yes.
Corey, you're watching. I love playing Corey. Corey loves playing me. I definitely want to beat everybody I play, but certainly there's an added thing. And I have a lot of respect. Corey's my man. I like Corey. We've really got to know
Georgia
each other
Bulldog.
a lot better. I've kind of got to know just the things around him, and I've really enjoyed getting to know him. But I'm competitive, he's competitive, and it's all in a friendly way. It's not it's banter, but we have a lot of respect for each other. But we always love to beat each other. If we win, oh yeah, we're gonna be bragging one way or the other.
It's gonna be some talking. It's gonna be some talking going on.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's gonna be a good one. This one right here, I got high hopes for. Joe versus Mark. I feel like the personalities are going to match up just so perfectly to make this a good rivalry. Joe, I think, is one of the better guys in our league. And I have a funny feeling Mark's going to be really good too. And there's been a little banter back and forth when we're talking about quarterbacks. Joe likes to try to defend Lamar Jackson's quarterbacking ability, which nobody can refute his ability in fantasy football, but his quarterbacking ability is a little suspect. I mean, more turnovers than touchdowns last year. But so, and Mark is a huge Patrick Mahomes fan, which I'm in that fraternity as well. And so back and forth, that's going to be spicy. I like that one. I thought that one long and hard, and I feel like that's the proper matchup. And then the last, but definitely not least, because this was a championship matchup in 2018, we've got my man Anthony Porterfield versus Anthony Misc. They battled for a championship. Anthony Misc came out on top. So naturally, the battle of the ants. I mean, what's better than that? And that's how we're rolling. That's going to be our week 2 rivalry week. There's not going to be any bye weeks. God, please, no crazy injuries week 1. Week 2, line it up. Get your best dudes. Let's go. I'm excited for that. And that's the only time, what I've gone through, I've made sure in the schedule, that is the only time you play this team, your rival, you play in one time. Not getting a second shot unless it's in the playoffs.
No COVID, please. No COVID, please. No COVID injuries.
No. So we've gone over the draft order. We have gone over the first week and the rivalry week. I'm excited about that. And then we can just talk real quick about a couple of maybe a couple of spots when we look at the ADPs. Something that maybe stands out. I've got a couple of them pulled up here. Let's see if I can't grab my screen. Here we go. I'm looking at the top 250 sheet. So another thing I want to make sure that the Justice Leaguers get is that our math is going to be a little bit different on draft day. They only give you, I think it's 30 or 45 minutes in the draft window. But mind you, a lot of these standard leagues are going half PPR, and their math's going to be a little bit off. We're going full PPR with the explosive kickers and whatnot. So there's going to be a little shift in the math. So I want to make sure that people get that. And some of the swings that I'm seeing when I look at the top 250 sheet, I'm not going to give everybody, tell you who to draft. I mean, people do what you do. But guys like a DeAndre Swift comes in at 9 in a full PPR. That's higher than he was a top 20 guy in most 250 cheat sheets. He's top 10 as it pertains to ours, and maybe I don't know if he'll be higher than 9, but he's up there. Cooper Kupp drops down a little bit. Why? Triple Crown winner. But he's going to be below a Justin Jefferson in the sense that Cooper Kupp's not necessarily getting 70-yard touchdowns all the time. He's getting a lot of receptions. He's getting a lot of TDs, but there's an explosion factor. But he is a little bit higher than Jamar Chase. So still a top 10 player, but a guy that's way, way up there is Justin Jefferson. He's all the way up at number 6. You're looking at McCaffrey. He's actually the number 1 overall player. He ain't going to get drafted number 1. So that cat's out of the bag. Jonathan Taylor's obviously up there. Eckler's obviously up there too. Dalvin Cook's holding strong at 4. Aaron Jones is one that's surprising, way up there at 5. Now, if you think about Green Bay with no Devontae Adams, the slack's got to get picked up. Yes, they're still going to be running a lot of stuff with A.J. Dillon. All these teams are going to be going with a 2-back set because they want to keep their guys fresh. Mike, we talked about that. I know I've had conversations with Eddie and Trey and some of the other guys about that, so it's no secret. But I hope that the Justice Leaguers don't shy away from a big-time back just because there's a backup. All the teams are going to do that. I mean, I know I'm a Michigan fan, so I know we've got a guy, Hassan, in Tennessee who may siphon some carries away from Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry's still a dude. Like, you still want him, and you want that number 2 back to maybe take some of that workload. So Aaron Jones being in there at 5 shouldn't be too alarming. I don't think people should be too surprised at that or shy away from him. It seems high when you look at some of these other cheat sheets, but Aaron Jones catches the heck out of the football. A lot of targets got to go somewhere because Devontae's not there. So that's something that popped out to me. Another one that pops way out is all the way up at number 17 is Mark Andrews. And then all the way up at 10 is Travis Kelce. Obviously, with Tyreek Hill going away and with Mark Andrews being really feature presentation as far as the passing offense in Baltimore, that's really high for a pair of tight ends, maybe as high as I've seen it before. I know Kelsey's getting into his 30s, but that kind of jumped out at me that he was a top 10 player because he's more like 17, 18 in some of the standard drafts. And really, I mean, you look at the quarterbacks are sitting low. Now, in our league, I don't want to steer how people are going to draft, but we tend to just buy the heck out of quarterbacks. We just do. And one guy starts it, and then there's just a run on quarterbacks, and the next thing you know, like, you got Jared Goff. Like, that's just how it is. But when I'm looking at this 250 sheet, these quarterbacks are starting with obviously Josh Allen. He's at 34. And if I look down here, Patrick Mahomes all the way down at 50. Now, in our draft, these guys are probably not going to last that long, but that's more or less where they're at. This Yahoo Top 250 sheet can be found on your Yahoo. You can go and look at it and peruse it up and down. But these are just a couple things that I'm seeing, just taking a quick glance at that. And I just want to relate it to our scoring system. It's going to change a little bit. We are full PPR and we have all the kickers. So when you're thinking about your draft plan in these wee hours leading up to the draft on Sunday, take that into consideration. Mike, do you have anything about those guys that we talked about here, or this the fact that we're going full PPR and a lot of these mocks are mocking in accordance to half PPR?
Yeah, I mean, I think Aaron Jones is a perfect example of that. I mean, him and Alvin Kamara is the same way. They both get extremely high numbers at passing. Obviously, you get a lot of passing points, especially if you score. You saw that a lot with Aaron Jones. He had one game where he had 5 touchdowns. I think Ricardo almost got beat because he was so phenomenal.
Merck had him. It's like Aaron Jones left, right, down the sideline. Holy crap.
Yeah, so when you get a guy that is receiving back, to me, it doesn't matter what the other guy is, whether he's a starter or backup. Tony Pollard's kind of the flip side of that. In Dallas, he gets a lot of stuff receiving wise that they use a lot
Mhm.
with him, and so you just got to really study the team of who the player is and what they do and the usage, and then really just study, as Rico said, just study these each team of the way you're used, because each team is going to use a back a different way.
Mhm.
Everyone, they're going to use two, but they're in different ways. Some of them use, for instance, AJ Dillon gets probably more carries than any backup, probably outside of Kareem Hunt, maybe. Outside
Yeah.
of that, I think both of them are really high volume running, but they don't throw the ball as much to them. So you just got to focus on what fits your mold, and then two, with the tight ends, you got a guy like Mark Andrews. Obviously he's going to get the ball a lot because
Mhm.
they don't have a lot of targets, and so obviously you got to just factor in that stuff, and then factor in if you have enough confidence that Lamar is going to be able to give him the ball, stuff like that. So, and
Right.
then same thing with Kelsey and Mahomes. Is it going to drop Mahomes off and Kelsey because they don't have Tyreek Hill there? So it's just a lot of studying that you just have to study each team, and make sure you look over these APRs and what they look like. And then yeah, my other thing is like, for the draft guys, I mean, get there as early as Rico sends the link, just so you can see the layout when it's open. That would be my
Yeah.
best suggestion. Just get a layout of the plan. Don't just pop in with 5 minutes before the draft starts. I mean, my recommendation is you get in there as early as you can to just study what you're going to go through.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, I mean, we've given all the tools. I know I've put it out in the chat, all the stuff and that's not out of condescension, because I don't know what people use. I know what I use to try to get edges and all the stuff, and I've tried to honestly put all that stuff out there. There may be like a paid feature on Yahoo where they give you, diamond player rankings or something, and you pay $20 or whatever a year to get that. Outside of that, man, following special talking heads on Twitter,
Hmm.
like Schefter and guys like that, they get the information really quick. We put out the Fantasy Life, we put out the Fantasy Pros. I know Trey had that app a couple years ago, and he was getting stuff early, and then he passed it on to me, and then I realized it was a free app, so I told some other people about it. I was like, well, hell, I'll just tell all 14. So it's all out there. So this is designed to be super fun. I know people are super busy also, but I really want this to try to be an escape from daily lives, the grinds. We all have it. And I really want everybody to enjoy it. I want everybody to have some level of success. So what will separate the managers here, what I'm hoping, is just consistency, obviously some fortune too, but consistency and just application. You can't make people go and do stuff that they don't want to do, or put effort in that they don't want to put in. But I want to have everybody have a great draft day. I want everybody to feel confident in what they're doing and have a plan. Have a plan, know what you want to do. And at the end of the day, draft the guys that you like within reason that are going to help your team win. I mean, that's a big thing for me too. I've always drafted Mahomes the last 3-4 years, or traded for him, because he's my dude. So I want to like root for him on, Thursdays, Mondays, and Sundays. So just finding that balance, I think, is important. And one thing that I've got to get better at personally is sticking with the guys that you have a gut feeling. Like in the beginning of the year, you'll have a gut feeling on a guy. Like last year, I had a gut feeling on Amon-Ra St. Brown, had a gut feeling on him. And, a couple years ago, I had a gut feeling on Justin Jefferson, and me and Trey were trading back and forth, had a gut feeling on him, but I didn't like the way that Minnesota was using a 2 wide receiver set or whatever. And he was the odd man out. Trusting your gut, it's so rewarding if you stick with it and then they hit at the end. It's so rewarding. And I want to get better at that. And there's some guys in this draft pool that are going to be available in the later rounds that, man, I can already see it, a handful. I'm not going to put them all out there. I want to give, insider trader days before the draft. We'll talk about it after. But there's some dudes out there, man, that if you got a gut feel on them, you do your homework, you look at those team sites, you go to those team blogs, and you get a good warm and fuzzy about them. Don't be afraid to pull the trigger, because that's what separates you at the end. When all these vets are getting hurt and you've got this rock star ready to roll, rookie or second year guy that starts turning up and kicking up his heels in those latter weeks, that's a lot of times, that's how championships are won. Your Michael Carters and guys turning up late. I mean, it's happened to me. It's beat me and I've won with it. And other guys have beaten other guys and won with it too. So that's something I'm going to focus on this year. I hope everybody else does, because there's nothing better than finding your gem and having him shine into January. There's nothing better than that.
Yeah, I mean there isn't, and pick your guy. Pick a guy you feel good about. I mean, if that's your, I mean, in the end of the day, yeah, we're gonna joke with each other and make fun. It's like, hey, this guy did this or that, but
Yeah.
you got to feel good. Don't be influenced about, oh, Yahoo tells me to do this or that. Go
Mm-hmm.
what you feel. I mean, in the day, it's going to be your team. It's not going to be Yahoo's team. So if you feel this guy is your kind of your steal, your mystery guy, then, or a guy that you feel is out for a breakout year, then go for it. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, we're all competitive, but at the same time, you got to trust what your gut feels.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Well, we've covered just about everything. I think we're 51 minutes in. I think most of the people have probably clicked off of this
Yeah,
by now, but really excited about this year 7. Something we look forward to. I know my brother and I know Mike and I know Eddie and I know Corey and I have all had chats on and off. Gino, Joe. I mean, a lot of these guys. I've talked to all these guys, individually, but some of these guys, man, we've been mocking for 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. I mean, it's been really involved and it's really fun. And now we're here. So I hope everybody can enjoy it. I hope everybody can set some time aside this weekend to prep for it. And then just really set yourself up to enjoy the draft, because the draft is so much fun. It's just so much fun to see what picks people go with, and then to see what your team's looking like. And that line is hot. I've got the manager sheet's going to be coming out this week with everybody's contact number and email. I think we've already put it out there, but I'm gonna compile that all in one sheet, so everybody's going to know everybody. So Trent can email you, Mike, or text you.
yeah.
And if there's transactions that need to be had, all the managers can talk to each other. I know in the past, not everybody has felt comfortable kind of sifting through the numbers or whatnot, but that's not going to be an issue this year. And I want everybody to feel like it's kind of connected, because overall, the most important thing is it would be nice if this group could kind of, form somewhat of a bond. So we're talking outside of fantasy football. And if you guys have noticed, our chat has kind of grown and it hasn't gone dormant. It's stayed, active even past fantasy football, which I think is awesome. I think it's cool because it's nice to be able to talk sports and to kind of have some camaraderie outside of that. And that's growing. And that's part of what I was hoping to have happen here. And so I want to make sure that other people can kind of formulate friendships and do whatever. So that manager sheet will go out. Everybody will have everybody's information. And I think that's something that also sets our league apart. I think most of the people in our league like each other, which is a good thing.
I just say the last thing, we haven't mentioned this that much. We talked about mainly the draft, but when you do your trades, really put everything in that you want. There's been a couple situations where guys have traded and they didn't know what they were trading. So if you're trading, make sure you talk with the person you're trading with, whether text or whatever. Communicate everything that's going to be down. Make sure it's all down the way you want it, and so we don't have. I mean, nobody wants to take advantage of somebody. We want it to be. This is what I want. This is what you want. So just make
Right.
sure you study that, guys.
Yeah. And I mean, this year we had that come up last year where I guess scrolling down, there wasn't a full
Mhm.
scroll. I know Mike got burned in the trade and just kind of ate it. He didn't complain about it. We had another manager where that happened. And, I kind of went back there and conjured up the votes and guys fixed it. I don't want to, I won't do that this year. So if you make a trade, make it count. That's why I want the manager sheet to go out so everybody's in communication.
Yeah.
If I'm going to make a trade with Mike, and I tried like the Dickens to get Joe Burrow last year, and he denied me like 20 times. I tried like the Dickens to get Claypool from him last year, and he denied me like 20 times until I didn't want him. Then he was trying to sell him like hotcakes, and I didn't want him anymore. But we talked about it over the phone, through text, and all that before it was ever consummated. Like there was never a screen just sent. So I want the managers to be real mindful of that. That's why that manager sheet's going to go out, discuss it with the other manager, and just make sure that you run it through administration or through the secretaries, whatever you want to call it. I know Doom Enterprises has a team of minions working over there, elves with hats on and devil eyes. So run it through the proper channels and make sure that it's what you want to do prior to sending the screen. Because this year we're not going to be going over it and we're not going to be correcting any mistakes. And I don't want anybody to feel like they burn themselves. So be very meticulous. I trade as much as anybody. But I want everybody to really think through that. So that's a great point. Other than that, man, this is kind of a sign off. We're just short of an hour. We did this impromptu. We're looking forward to bringing, I don't know how many people we can add on here, but we're going to be doing shows. We're going to do a post-draft show where we're going to be bringing on members of the jail. We're going to be doing a weekly show, maybe a preview, but definitely a review show. And we're going to be interviewing the big money bag manager of the week who's rocking in the $75. And he's going to have his chance to go ahead and talk about what moves he made and why it worked and just bask in his glory, because we're going to have 14 champions, really 15. Well, no, we'll have 14 champions because one guy is going to be obviously the champion overall. But each week we're going to have a new champion. So look forward to that. I hope everybody can get on this. We are talking on StreamYard. Mike just kind of recommended this and we're rolling with it again, impromptu. So I'm going to put the information out on this so everybody can jump on this. This can go to a YouTube stream. This can go to a Facebook stream. This can go to LinkedIn stream. This can go to a lot of different things. And we're going to put it out and we're going to keep it rocking and keep it spicy. And football's here. Fantasy football's here. Basketball's coming. The Yankees just whipped the Mets' butt tonight. I'm excited. Let's go.
Yeah, it's fun. I wish everyone, obviously the best of luck set when you play me because I want to win. I'm competitive, but we want everyone to enjoy this. This is a time where your family's not always going to disagree with everything, and that's kind of how I look at these guys. I've got to know some of them. Some of them are new, but just relish it, take it all in, and enjoy it. This is a release away from what's going on in your life, whether it's good or bad, and just something that we can be competitive and talk about. And you get treated like a coach. Coaches get interviewed when they win or lose. So it's going to be a good feature, and we're going to have a lot of good stuff. I can't wait, and can't wait to see everyone Sunday.
All right, let's go. Well, signing off. It's the commish. Happy to have all you guys here. Everybody in the group was selected for a reason. So everybody's good here. There's nobody that's added that wasn't thought through. So I'm very happy to have this group. We are fat. I know some of the managers were a little concerned about 14, but I think it's going to be a really good time, and I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to be super competitive. I hope everybody stays, and I hope everybody has a hell of a time, man. We're really putting in some hours to try to make this as fun as possible. Put media out. Your wife, your kids, your family can kind of watch the show when you win and everything else. I think it'd be kind of cool. And above winning, I love winning. I've got the championship trophies to prove that I love winning. But above all that, I want this to be a great experience. I'd rather lose every game and have this be the best year for the league overall. And I really mean that. And I think that we're going to have a great year. So look forward to seeing all you guys on Sunday. I'm going to hopefully not screw this up and be able to put this broadcast out. And then next time I won't be in like a tank top with like hair everywhere. Hopefully we'll look a little more presentable. But signing off, man. Look forward to seeing you guys on Sunday.